There's an interesting concept um, regarding sins and good deeds, and how, in many scenarios, a sin could at least feel much more pleasurable than doing the good deed. An example of that would be when somebody starts speaking lashon hara to you and tries to get you to speak lashon hara back with them about someone. Sometimes it could seem like that would be the pleasurable thing to do, and whereas the truly good thing to do would be not to be just ignored and try to put an end to the lashon hara, but that would sometimes be the less pleasurable thing to do, when in reality is the right thing to do. So this brings up the concept of sins being more pleasurable than mitzvahs in some scenarios. And now, to understand this, we have to understand that this very concept is what gives us free will. Because if there was no pleasure to sins, and there was no sacrifices needed to do mitzvahs, then we wouldn't really have free will. We would just be angels in a sense. But the fact that Hashem gives us this puts us in this position where sins can be pleasurable, can seem, or at least appear pleasurable, and mitzvahs could appear, I guess, maybe difficult. It is this very scenario that allows us to serve Hashem in the most infinite way. I'll give you an example. If you go to the gym and you try to exercise, if the exercise isn't a little bit difficult and requires a lot of physical exertion, then one is not going to become stronger. One is not going to grow. It is only when we are put in a position where we have to push ourselves, maybe not to the limit, but close to it, it is only then that we can grow. And even to the limit, even more so. But I'm saying one must at least be pushing himself near his limits, and always trying to increase the effort he puts into anything. And now, this is the concept that I'm attempting to talk about. And now, to add to this, one has to understand that the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, will give us pleasure very quickly in order to persuade us into sinning. There are many scenarios that one can imagine this. One of them would be, let's say your parents are asking you to do something and you have this inclination to yell out and lash out at them. Maybe for a little split second you will feel good doing that, or at least think you're feeling good doing that. But afterwards you're going to feel even worse. Whereas maybe in the moment, holding in that urge to yell at your parents and really holding back, in the moment it might be hard, it might not feel good in the moment, but in the long run it'll feel great. And that's the concept that we have to understand, is that Hashem, He's going to make us work for the pleasure. He's going to make us work to enjoy the Torah study and enjoy the mitzvot. But when He does give us pleasure, that pleasure will last forever. Whereas the Yetzer Hara is the complete opposite. He's going to give you pleasure like that, like the snap of a finger. But when you're done with that pleasure, in quotation marks, not only are you going to not feel pleasure anymore, but you're going to feel worse than before. So one could look at this and see how one could see that the very fact that one could get so much pleasure so quickly, could see through this, in a sense, see through the blindingness of the obscurity of the Yetzer Hara. And one could see, wow, why does this feel so good so quickly, but afterwards it's all gone? Because it's fake. It's an illusion. It's a desire. Whereas this, Torah, yeah, it's hard, but it feels really good in the long run. I still remember something I learned 2.5 years ago, and it's still with me every day. You never hear about that time someone says, felt so good to yell at my parents 2.5 years ago. No, you'll never hear that, because when the pleasure derived from sinning is only temporary and it's an illusion, whereas the pleasure derived from mitzvot, while maybe not as potent in the moment, it will endure forever. And what is true? Something that endures. Who is the wise man? The one who sees the future. When you look at the future and you realize, and this is only in this world, by the way, imagine how much more so in the world to come, the pleasure derived from mitzvahs and the pain derived from sins. So just to wrap it up, take a look at how the Yetzer Hara gives such instant, non-enduring pleasure, whereas Torah, yeah, it makes you work for the pleasure, but that pleasure you get from the Torah will last forever and guide you and carry you through. So I thank you so much for watching this video. And of course, this video was inspired by the teachings of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Shavua Tov.